this lady had. Oh, that shit was fucking delicious. S'mores, the apple. It was like apple pie flavor. Yo,
that shit sound good, right? Yo,
dude.
Yo, you can't be talking to a pothead about ice cream right now, bro.
I'm not a big ice cream eater. Like, I won't go out of my way to eat ice cream. But yo, this lady's shit is fucking the shit.
We're about to smoke again right now.
How did you? I mean, I know how you were. How did you? I mean, this is your mom, right? So, yeah. How did it impact you emotionally?
Honestly, I was a pretty tough kid growing up. I'm very weak when it comes to my parents, so I cried in my own privacy. You know,
you're a pussy.
Yeah, I would go in my room and I just sit there. I think about it, running.
You still think about it, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think about it every time I see my mom, like almost every other day. You know, like we have to constantly check on her because my mom is the type of person.
Was she so busy taking care of you, she didn't take care of herself?
No. That wasn't it. My mom was career driven, and her family and her job. That was it. She didn't care about friends. She didn't care about vacations. She didn't care about nothing. It was family and work to provide for the family. Her and my father. That's what. So
it really
did.
Was about family.
Yeah, and she just ran with it, you know. And then she knew she had breast cancer. The doctor had told her. She told us like 2 months later.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So your dad knew too?
Nobody knew.
Nobody.
Only she knew. Only she knew she had breast cancer. So then 2 months later, and I'm like, now I'm shook. And I'm looking shit up on the phone. And I didn't tell my wife anything because I'm still trying to process.
Were you mad at your mom over that?
I was, but what the fuck are you going to do? She has cancer. We got to deal with this shit now.
It's her life, right?
And it's her life. But the thing about my mom, we're a very close-knit family. I speak to my brothers and my sisters almost every fucking day. I talk to my mom. My mom calls me to joke around. My dad calls me almost every day to joke around. So it's like, you holding this in for 2 months and not telling us. Oh, I didn't want to stress you guys out or bother you. Ma.
So one of the hardest things she's ever done, you think?
Yeah, to tell us.
To not tell you for 2 months.
Not to tell us for 2 months.
Yeah.
Well, it probably took her that long to grow the courage to fucking tell you guys, you know what I'm saying?
Or she was smart enough to recognize she needed to process it herself.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Like she was probably like, I have to understand this before.
She loved her family so much. She knew what they were going to go through when she told them. And she needed to be good with it for herself before she could, because she's probably, and I'm sure she'll tell you whether or not she agrees with this statement since she's a listener. She almost felt like she was going to take a weight from the family because she's always provided and it's always been about you.
Exactly.
And she said, I just need to be strong enough for myself so I can hold the family when they go through this. That's an amazing woman right there.
And that's a great thought process. I didn't even think of it like that. In that detail, so that's actually a great thought process of what.
That's because Paul's white. White people think like that.
Medicated.
No, but medicated. But yeah, like, and then my sister, who had a life in California, her and my brother, but my brother had moved back prior. My sister had a whole life in California. She packed up and left and came home to take care of my mom.
Family's more important.
And we were here too. You know, my wife and my sister basically did everything to make sure my mother got exactly what she needed to fight this shit and survive it.
Well, his mom went to the same place that I had to go to.
Me personally, that shit was amazing because I don't know if I could have done that. I could be there emotionally, support, but finding out doctors, I'm not that person. So I was happy for my wife and my sister. They did everything. Like, you see my dad, my dad, and my two brothers, we were like 4 fucking deers in headlights when this shit was going on.
And your sister knew right what to do.
And my sister and my wife knew. My wife worked in the hospital at the time, so she had connections to everywhere. She knew every doctor who's doing what, who's the best doctor to get it done, this, that. Yo, they were running through shit. And me, my 2 brothers, and my father were like this. And my father was mostly crying all the time, right? Like I said, I never cry in front of my mother. I guess it's showing strength shit. I don't know what it is. Who fucking knows? But I did cry in my room going through the shit. And then the second time hit, she waited a fucking month again, Paul, to tell us that it came back. We're like, yo, did you not learn from the fucking first time?
She did. That's why I only took her a month this time instead of 2.
Yeah, but you also gotta remember when you're going through that shit and you think it's like in remission. That's what it's called, remission, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then you get it back. It's like fuck. Like now do I have to prepare for the worst?
Well, it's because you let yourself have hope.
Yeah.
And when you have hope squashed, I don't know if there's a worse feeling in the entire world than that.
Because then how do you tell your family, like, all right, look, that first time around, it wasn't enough. Now I got to do it again.
I know my situation. So with my mom, she was living in Florida and I was up here in this area. And she didn't really have any other family in Florida to take care of her. And my sister and my mother didn't talk for a number of years, and they weren't talking at that time. So mom was in and out of the hospital. They couldn't figure it out. And finally...
Not to interrupt, they couldn't put that shit to the side?
Well, I'll get there.
Okay.
So I got called to the hospital, flew down, and so the doctor tells me what's up. And I'm like, yeah, like deer in headlights at first. But then I also jump into action because how mom taught me, just start attacking something and trying to figure it out. I also knew there was nobody else. It was just me. And first thing I did is I told my mom I'll be right back. She was still in the hospital. I walked down the hallway. I called my sister. And I said, listen, I don't give a fuck what's going on with you two, but mom's been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and there's just no chance. There's going to be no chance of survival. Now, my mom talked about doing some treatment to push it out a little bit.
Like to prolong her life.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it ended up changing everything. Because, listen, especially now, it's even bittersweet because they're both gone. That I was able to reconnect them before that time.
Before that
they
passing.
were able to squash the beef that they had.
Yep.
So it was like one of the it's crazy. Unfortunately, I had to do that. But I remember being so emotionally and mentally drained because I'm in the Northeast. She's down there. I'm trying to coordinate care, make sure she's going. And I remember she was really far along at one point, but she was home, and it would mess with her head a lot. And she didn't know where she was or what was going on. And I needed to go return something to the store. And I come out of one of the back rooms, and she's chewing on the receipt that I need to return this item at the store. And I just remember it being so mad. And I'm like, I needed that receipt, da-da-da. And I'm yelling and I'm upset. And I get it out of her mouth. And I stopped for a second, and I apologize. And I said, Mom, whether or not she knew I was saying it, I still don't know. And I realized I wasn't mad at her for what she was doing. That was silly. I was just mad at me because I was so hurt by being in that situation and hurt that my mom was going to...
stressful.
Yeah, and it was. Because
the one question you always ask yourself, why my mom? But then again, every person's asking that same question when they lose their mother.
Yep.
And I can't say I know what that feels like. I don't want to know what it feels like anytime soon. But that shit must suck.
I know. My mom went through that shit. Like, I did the total opposite.
Like with the whole cancer thing, when it happened to my mom, it was 2006, I believe it was, or 2007. It was right before my second daughter was born, I believe. And I didn't know how to process it. All I could use was the little Google search that we had on our phones. I'm looking it up, reading about it, and all I'm seeing is death. So that's why those nights of crying by myself, I was like envisioning losing my mother. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to lie, I'm a mama's boy. I love my mother. My mother's like my best friend. I literally sit and have conversations like this, like what we're doing now with my mother. Joke around. The only one thing I don't do, I never curse in front of my mother. Because I feel like I'm still going to get slapped if I do, so I don't do it.
Because you would.
Into this podcast.
And she listens and she laughs and she enjoys. And the one thing about my mother, tell whatever you want to tell. Talk whatever you want to talk. My mother don't hide nothing from nobody. Her, and what's that saying? She's living her existence. So if you know about me, you know about me. You don't, you don't. That's the type of person she is. She doesn't care if people talk about her. She's like, it's only words. It doesn't affect me. I'm still sleeping at night. That woman is so fucking strong, dude. It's fucking incredible. And I mean, she showed a little bit of weakness the second time, but then she kind of like shook it off. Like, the fuck is wrong with me?
That's the other thing too, right? You always think your parents are impenetrable.
Yeah.
And then stuff like this happens.
Yeah.
See, like, when my mom went through her ovarian cancer thing and she was getting the operation done, like, I just played it like it was nothing, like because it caught me by surprise and like I guess my shock, and I was also kind of young, but
like yo, she'll be alright.
Yeah,
she'll be alright.
Because if you worry about it, that's when something goes bad. You know what I'm saying? So I did oh, you're gonna go visit your mom in the hospital? No. Like my grandmother came, she took my two brothers.
I mean, you had to lie to yourself.
Yeah,
and that's what I did, and then she came home.
You psyched yourself out.
But that's kind of like the same way I did my own shit though, because I think I told you that. Remember when they made me talk to like the counselor and all that bullshit at the hospital, and they're like, "Oh, have you spoken to your family about your death?" I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Oh yeah, because you have cancer. There's a good chance you could pass away. Have you spoken to your children about it?" I'm like, "My kids know what I got, and that's that. Like, I don't talk about I'm gonna die. What are you guys gonna do when I pass away? Type shit. Because that's just fucking depressing." And then she was like, "Oh well, you
also
have
not my fucking problem because I ain't gonna be here."
But that's the way I took it though.
And I only mean that in that, you know what? Once you're gone, you don't know how somebody's gonna react.
Yeah,
you can't control that shit.
You're gone.
But I don't want to have that mindset, and I that's like some of the things that I felt were like kind of depressing about when people who have cancer, because I didn't have like terminal cancer.
Yeah, but you know what's fucked up about that shit too? About them telling you to say that to
they put you in a bad mental place,
and that's manifesting your own fucking death. But like, why am I going to speak about me dying? I don't want to manifest that.
No, because
have hope.
But they want you to be able to speak to your family. Like you said, your mother didn't talk to you for 2 months yet. Yeah. All right. When you talk to a counselor, they talk to you right away. They don't wait 2-3 months. Like, so your mom probably spoke to the counselor and they're like, you need to speak to your family because they got to share your feelings. You got to prepare them mentally because
they're the ones who are going on.
They're the ones who have to deal with you after you pass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they keep like telling you, and I'm like, yeah, I've spoken to my family. I've spoken to my kids. And it was very uplifting, and like I wasn't talking to my children like, oh, I'm gonna die. There's a good chance I'm not coming back. I didn't do that. I did that. They found like I talked to you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, they found cancer. I'm about to go get an operation.
It'd almost be like you put them through it twice, because there's gonna be the time you tell them, right, and they're gonna have to process it. But then if it actually happens, now they're doing it again.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what upsets me about that whole thing is like they get you into a mindset though that it's like a depressing fucking mindset. I almost
understand where it's coming from though, is because they're not helping you. Everybody. They're not trying to help you really. They're trying to help them. Sometimes
I guess it's a scripted line for their position of work too. That like, we have to tell you to speak to somebody. We're forced to tell you to tell your loved ones. If like we don't do it, we're not doing our job.
Every time I got something done, they'd be like, "Oh, how come you're not coming with like a family member? Why you always come by yourself?" I'm like, "Because I don't want my family members coming here. Like, I got to do an hour of radiation.
Got to work. Who knows?
No, but fuck, if I'm doing an hour of radiation, I got to be in a room by myself. Like the doctors and the nurses aren't sitting in that radiation room because the whole room becomes radiated. You know what I'm saying? Like they have it's like a 20-inch thick fucking door that closes when before they turn the machine on. You know what I'm saying? So you can't even sit there for the hour with me. So if you're gonna be in a waiting room, why the fuck you gonna take the trip?
When my sister was sick, I took a couple weeks off of work where I took her to her appointments. Like my whole point of that was, listen, it was so dire from everything we were hearing. Anyway, even though there was some hope that the doctors were given, I just wanted to spend time with her, and that meant I was taking her to her chemo and radiation appointments those 2 weeks just so I could spend time with her.
See, like I couldn't talk to my mom about that stuff when I was going through my stuff because the minute I mentioned like, oh yeah, cancer, she started crying.
Yo,
my brothers too. Like you said, they start with you see the watery eyes and shit, and it's like, all right, cool. I can't have you guys come to my fucking appointments because I don't need you there fucking crying like I'm about to die because I didn't feel like that's gonna be an option for me.
That's why the whole thing that I'm going through with this whole clubbing of the nail thing that's going on with my fingers, they say I'm not getting enough oxygen in my blood, and they wanted to check me for lung disease or lung cancer because they was like, for what we're seeing, these are possibilities. So they started running tests, and the doctor was leaning more towards lung disease. He was like, I don't think you have the cancer, but you might have lung disease. So I started doing all the tests. Like I told my wife, obviously. And I told my sisters and my brother and my mother.
And now you just told the 200 listeners on the podcast.
No. I don't actually have it. Everything came back negative.
Nice.
So that was a great thing for me. I just have one more test to do, which is, I think, tomorrow. But
you're bad with dates.
Huh?
But you're bad with dates.
Yeah.
I thought you said he has AIDS.
Yeah, me too. I was
like, what?
No, nigga. Not yet.
I hope not.
Never.
Where have you been, Lynette?
But like, I did that shit, everything, but I never told my dad. He'll probably hear it now because he listens to the podcast. Because my dad is a fucking crybaby. anything that has to do with his
Sorry, Mr.
family,
Rob's dad.
anything that has to do with his family getting hurt or sick,